They saw it coming, but couldn't stop it.
I knew it, blood.
That's the moment Spurs lost him.
We run North London. Ain't nothing you can do about that. So when we want a player, you got to move out the way.
North London belongs to one side only.
And if home is the red side, the only side we need to talk about when we're talking London.
For Tottenham, pain. For Arsenal, relief.
Now Eberechi Eze, the Arsenal fan, going home faster than a man on tag.
Because once a gunner, always a gunner.
If you have a dream and you're so talented that so many clubs want you at such a high level, you've got your pick of clubs, and Arsenal actually want to come in for you, and you're an Arsenal fan, you have to take it with both hands. You have to play for your boyhood club.
Listen to this. Sometimes football flips in the most unexpected ways. You think the transfer market is moving in one direction, and then out of nowhere, a single deal tilts the balance of an entire city. That's exactly what this Eze situation feels like. Arsenal suddenly stepping in, catching Tottenham completely off guard, and targeting the one creative spark Spurs were hoping to secure for themselves, a proper North London steal. And the timing couldn't be more symbolic, because right when Havertz's injury left Arsenal exposed in midfield, Arteta and the board looked across town, saw their rivals circling Eze, and thought, why not make this move ours? What looks like a reaction to bad luck quickly starts to feel like a perfectly timed masterstroke. The first shock was pure disbelief. Arsenal going after Eze? For months, the conversation around him had been tied to Spurs, with Thomas Frank seemingly eager to add unpredictability and flair to his side. But now the rumor mill points north, and it's the red half of London that wants him. Imagine what that does to the psychology of the rivalry. One minute Spurs think they've got their guy, the next he's potentially in the Emirates dressing room. It's more than just a transfer. It's a flex, a statement, a reminder of who actually dictates the power balance in this city. And the fans can already feel it. This isn't just another signing rumor. This is one of those moments where a tug of war for identity plays out on the pitch and in the boardroom at the same time. But let's rewind for a second, because none of this conversation happens without the Havertz situation. His injury, while unfortunate, creates a domino effect that reshapes Arsenal's summer thinking. Havertz was being used as a creative link in Arteta's system, drifting between the lines, offering that left-sided balance alongside Odegaard. Without him, suddenly the midfield feels thinner, the rotation's less effective, and the risk of overloading Rice or Odegaard grows massively. So the injury doesn't just take one player out, it forces the staff to rethink the structure of the entire attack. That's why the Eze move makes sense beyond the rivalry angle. It's about urgency, about solving a creative gap before it derails a season that still carries massive expectations. Champions League football, a Premier League push, depth for domestic cups. This isn't the year to gamble on patchwork solutions. So where does he actually fit? That's the tactical puzzle, right? Arsenal's midfield right now is a careful blend of roles. Declan Rice is the anchor, the security blanket in front of the backline. Odegaard as the conductor, thriving in the half spaces, always looking for passing lanes to break defensive blocks. And Havertz as the hybrid, part midfielder, part forward, drifting left to overload, attacking the box at angles defenders hate to deal with. Add Eze into this picture and things suddenly become intriguing.
Blood. They're exactly what they needed. He can play on the left. He can go behind the striker, fam. You get me? Hella creativity they got. Man's not even going to be one of them guys, so now he's going...
He's versatile enough to slide into Havertz's role on the left side, carrying the ball into advanced areas. But he also has that ability to operate centrally, almost as a second creator beside Odegaard. In some matches, he could even free Odegaard from carrying all the creative burden by offering a parallel threat. That's what makes the move so fascinating. It's not just about replacing an injured player, it's about unlocking a system with more fluidity, more unpredictability, more ways to hurt opponents. And let's be clear, Eze's skill set isn't common. Arsenal already have technical players, sure, but few with his exact profile. The short, sharp dribbles, the way he accelerates out of tight spaces, the ability to break two lines with a single carry. Last season, he averaged 2 successful dribbles per game at a 52% success rate, the kind of ball progression Arsenal often lack. Add to that his willingness to shoot, 3 attempts per match with nearly 1 on target, and you start to see why he disrupts defenses. The finishing numbers weren't ruthless, 8 goals from an XG of 10.5 and 8% conversion rate, but the volume and threat mattered. He forces goalkeepers into saves, defenders into blocks, and spaces open for teammates. Even the detail that all 8 goals came with his right foot, 2 from outside the box, shows a profile Arsenal don't currently have in abundance. He's not just tidy, he's dangerous in unpredictable ways, and that kind of chaos is exactly what this team sometimes misses.
Eze is exactly the sort of player, when you look at that Arsenal squad, that they need, whether that's on the left, whether that's a number 10 sort of, we could play him if Martin Odegaard comes off. He just feels like it's a perfect fit.
And don't think this is only about flair. Eze has developed the kind of work rate Arteta demands. Palace under Hodgson and Glasner asked for discipline, for pressing out of position, and Eze showed he could handle the dirty work. The stats underline it. 1.1 tackles per game, 0.3 interceptions, and 4.3 ball recoveries on average. Numbers that prove he doesn't shy away from defensive responsibility. He even won over 53% of his ground duels, showing the strength to handle physical battles in midfield. And while his aerial record is weak, only 16% won, that's not where Arsenal would use him. What matters is his willingness to press in the opposition half, where he averaged 0.5 possessions won per match in the final third. Those numbers fit right into Arteta's blueprint. Aggressive pressing, immediate recovery, turning defense into attack. Eze isn't a luxury player. He's already trained in the grind. With Arsenal's structure, that energy becomes a weapon, not just a requirement. Now, of course, Spurs fans will see it differently. From their perspective, it's salt in the wound. They needed unpredictability, a creative spark to complement Maddison, and Eze looked like the perfect piece. Instead, Arsenal swooping in highlights the gulf between the two clubs right now. One is fighting to break into the Champions League places, the other is building a squad to challenge City. And the fact Eze would choose Arsenal over Spurs makes sense, not just because of trophies or money, but because of the platform. Champions League football, the chance to play on the biggest stages, the chance to test himself against Europe's best. For Spurs, it's a missed opportunity. For Arsenal, it's a win that stings their rivals twice. Once in the squad building race, and again when the derby rolls around and Eze is wearing red instead of white. But it's not just about rivalry narratives. Think of Eze's journey for a second. From grassroots football, climbing through lower league struggles, becoming a fan favorite and hero at Crystal Palace, and now standing on the edge of a career-defining leap. That kind of move doesn't just change the team, it changes the player's entire perception. From being one of the league's underrated gems to stepping into the spotlight as a star at a top 6 club, playing under the pressure of expectation every single week. If he nails this move, he's not just Arsenal's answer to a short-term injury crisis. He becomes part of the club's long-term identity, the kind of player remembered for bridging the gap between Palace admiration and Arsenal glory. Of course, none of this comes cheap. Palace know what they have, and they're not in the mood to sell for pennies. We're talking about a price tag in the region of 60 to 70 million pounds, depending on add-ons and negotiations. For Arsenal, that's significant. It would make Eze one of their most expensive signings ever. The debate becomes whether this is value or panic. Is the club investing wisely in a player who fits their trajectory, or are they being forced into an inflated market by circumstance? The board has been disciplined in recent years, avoiding the old Arsenal mistake of overpaying for hype. But with the Havertz injury and Spurs breathing down their necks, this might be the kind of calculated risk they decide to take anyway. And there's another dynamic worth noting, the Odegaard factor. For years, Arsenal's captain has been the undisputed creative hub, the playmaker everything flows through. Bringing in someone like Eze complicates that hierarchy, not in a toxic way, but in a competitive way. Suddenly, Odegaard isn't the only one tasked with unlocking defenses. Eze himself created 11 big chances last season, averaging 1.7 key passes per game, and finished with 8 assists from an XA of 4.68, meaning he even outperformed his expected numbers. His passing accuracy might not look elite at first glance, 82% overall, dropping to 66% in the opposition half, but that tells you he takes risks. He tries to break lines. He forces openings others wouldn't attempt. So yes, Odegaard remains the orchestrator, but with Eze on the pitch, defenders can't just crowd him out anymore. The creative burden gets shared, and that might push Odegaard to an even higher level. But zoom out and you see the bigger picture. This isn't only about one season. Arsenal under Arteta are building for the long haul, structuring a squad that can dominate for the next decade, not just a single campaign. Eze at 26 is in his prime, but still with room to grow. He represents an investment in creativity, in versatility, in the ability to reshape games when plan A doesn't work. If the move happens, it tells us exactly what the Arsenal project is aiming for. Not just solidity at the back, not just energy in midfield, but a consistent supply of creative talent capable of matching City blow for blow. In that sense, Eze isn't just a reaction to Havertz's injury or a cheeky snatch from Spurs. He's a statement about where Arsenal want to be in 5 years. A team with layers of creativity, capable of solving problems in multiple ways, and ready to take the next step from contender to champion. And that's why this potential signing feels so perfect. It ties together rivalry, necessity, tactics, and vision. It's the kind of move that makes fans dream, opponents wary, and neutrals admit, yeah, Arsenal might just have pulled off another one.